Welcome to the Reed Report. I am your host, your boy Jason Reed, back with another episode of Playoff Predictions. And today we have the Western Conference Finals, and we're going to get into the Eastern Conference Finals in a separate video as soon as those two Game 7s are at a close. But for right now, we got the Western Conference final set, and let's get into it. We got Clippers versus Suns. So if I told you before the season started, that there would be two teams from the Pacific Division representing in the Western Conference Finals, and I told you those two teams were the Suns and the Clippers, what would you have said? What happened to the Lakers? What happened to Utah? Denver's supposed to be better this year. Dallas, you would have put Dallas over, not over the Clippers probably, but any of those teams I just named over the Suns. Portland, out in the first round. Dallas, out in the first round. Denver, swept by Phoenix in the second round. But nope, it is the Clippers versus the Suns. The Suns are in that spot. Majority thought it would be the Lakers. That's just the truth. And for the first time in 11 years, the Suns are back in the Western Conference Finals. And for the first time in their 50-year existence, the Clippers are in the Western Conference Finals. Yes, the Clippers have made it to the Western Conference Finals. Not Lob City, not even PG and Kawhi. Yes, PG, Terrence Mann, and Reggie Jackson helped guide the Clippers over Utah to get to the franchise's first ever Western Conference Finals. And speaking of Kawhi, he and PG are out of Game 1. CP3 is in a safety protocol, whatever that means. And Kawhi is out with what is believed to be an ACL injury. I think he's done for the season. And, I'm not sure how long Chris Paul will be out, but until he's back, especially with Kawhi out, I do think that this series so far is a fair fight because you don't have CP3, who was the leader of this team and the team wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him. And you don't have Kawhi, who's the best player on the Clippers, and they wouldn't be here had it not been for him as well. Of course, we talked about PG, guiding them, in games 5 and 6 to get to the Western Conference Finals. But without Kawhi Leonard, of course, he's the best player on the team. And I just got a breaking news right now. Okay, so it just says the Suns, Chris Paul, NBA health and safety protocol will miss Game 1 of Western Conference Finals. But we already pretty much knew that. They were just waiting to announce it. But we knew that was something that was going to happen. But like I said, until Chris Paul gets back, it is a fair fight. Suns will be making their 10th appearance in the Western Conference Finals in franchise history. And when you really look at it, the Suns are truly the most successful NBA franchise to never win a championship. Like, I won't list every team, but you guys go back and look at it, and you tell me if there's a better team that has never won an NBA championship, that has had the success of the Phoenix Suns. They are truly the most successful team. And we also have the Clippers making their first appearance in 50 years. Like I said, they started in Buffalo as the Braves, spent 8 years there, then San Diego for 6 years, and now they are in Los Angeles. And they're finally out of the company of the Hornets, the Pelicans, and the Grizzlies, because those teams are still yet to make a conference championship game, and the Clippers can now say that they, at the moment, have at least been there. This is the second time the two franchises are meeting in the postseason. Back in 2006, the Suns defeated the Clippers in 7 games in the second round of the playoffs. This was back in the days of Corey Maggette, Chris Kaman, Elton Brand, who's now the general manager of the 76ers, Sam Cassell, who is now the assistant coach of the 76ers, and Sean Livingston, who won 3 championships with the Warriors, and he's not playing anymore, but he still has a role in that franchise still today. I think he's an advisor or director or something like that. And for the Suns, they had Boris Diaw, who, and I looked this up, he's the president of the Metropolitans 92 over in the Pro A League in France. Steve Nash, of course, the coach of the Brooklyn Nets. Raja Bell, Sean Marion. You guys remember these people. My boy Amari Stoudemire, shout out to Amari. And James Jones, who played 2 years with the Phoenix Suns, and he is now the general manager of the Phoenix Suns. So a lot of these players went on to be very successful after their playing days. They have these roles in the franchises, making important decisions. So that's a really good storyline heading into this Western Conference Finals matchup. In the regular season, the Clippers won the series 2-1. Clippers won first meeting 112-107 in Phoenix. In that game, PG scored 39 points. Booker had 25. And what makes this series so intriguing is that Phoenix and Booker and Paul George got into it in that game. They had to be separated. There was some choppiness. And when you look at the Suns, they have been in these type of, altercations with the Lakers in the first round, and one with Denver. We know what happened there, and we can expect it in this series as well. Of course, we're always hoping that they don't go overboard, but it's always good when the guys get in each other's face, and you add that extra drama, which makes it more exciting, especially if this series goes the distance. And with Patrick Beverley there, there's going to be some instigating and all those type of things. So you can expect it to also be some chippiness in this series. In the second game, the Clippers ended up winning by 10, and in this game there were 3 technical fouls, 2 flagrant fouls, and 2 ejections. So it just goes back to these two franchises, these two teams building a storyline heading into this series, which makes it that much more fun to anticipate and to watch, hopefully. So in that game, the Clippers snapped the Suns' 7-game win streak. And in the final meeting, the Suns finally won 109-101. This was the game that clinched the Suns' first playoff spot in 11 years. And I also read that Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton were in middle school the last time the Suns were in the playoffs. And if they were watching the Suns make that run, Suns played the Lakers, Portland, and they played the Spurs in those playoffs. If they were paying close attention to Phoenix, which I'm assuming they were, especially when they played the Lakers, because it's the Lakers, it's crazy to just sit here and think about them watching that, having no idea that the next time the franchise will be back in the playoffs as middle schoolers, they would be on the team, not as middle schoolers, but watching as middle schoolers, they will be on the team, leading them back to all of this promise that they're enjoying so far. So it's always amazing to sit back and see that. And I thought the same thing early in football, looking at Baker Mayfield. I believe Baker Mayfield was like 7 the last time the Cleveland Browns made it to the playoffs. So yeah, you get the point. So as for the here and now, this is a difficult one to pick because I had the Clippers getting out of the West, before the season started. I didn't even think the Suns would make the playoffs, to be honest. After the Clippers blew that 3-1 lead, I compared it to Miami losing to Dallas back in 2011. It was an embarrassing and demoralizing loss, and I knew it would be something that would motivate them, the very next year, because they know what people were saying about them. They will probably say they don't care what people say outside, but they're reading the stories. They're on YouTube, they're on Twitter, Facebook, MySpace. Stop it, there's no MySpace. The point is they're looking at these things. They can deny it all they want, but they're looking at these things. They know what people are saying, and it has to get to you. So, and I knew it would be something that would, motivate them in the right way to get back. As much as I crack jokes about the whole thing because of who I root for, the Lakers, obviously, I can't be objective, and I am objective about this. And I was at the start of the season, even when they lost. I said, this is just going to make them better. The loss, blowing the 3-1 lead, it's just going to make them better. And now when you put that with the fact that they were down 2-0 to Dallas, and then they were on the brink of elimination, being down 3-2, overcame that, and they were down 2-0 again to Utah. And then they went on to win 4 straight, and they are the first team in NBA history to be down 2-0 in 2 straight series and go on to win. They beat the Jazz, the best team in the NBA record-wise, 4 times in a row, and twice without their best player, Kawhi Leonard. That's actually a surprising stat. That it's actually surprising that that's never happened before, because you remember you had Denver last year who were down 3-1 in 2 straight series and came back to win, and a team has never been down 2-0 in 2 series and came back to win. So it's actually pretty surprising stat. But they're here now, and it's just their luck that the best player is out, Kawhi Leonard. I don't anticipate he will return, like I said, with the ACL. If I were him, I wouldn't risk it, because we seen what happened with KD 2 years ago. We don't want another situation like that. It's already bad enough that we have all of these all-star injuries, and injuries in general are just horrible. But you've never seen it to this level before. So if Kawhi, if the ACL is true, he shouldn't come back, and I don't think he will. CP3 is different because he's out on a safety protocol. Like I just said, he is going to miss game 1, which we all anticipated. And if they're doing the 2-week quarantine or whatever the situation is, it'll be interesting to see how many games he missed. Because, like I said, as of now, since he's out, it's a fair fight. And if he comes back, is he going to come back with the Suns up on the brink of winning, or is he going to come back with the Suns down and on the brink of being eliminated? Because his absence will determine how this series plays out, because he was an MVP candidate. He's Chris Paul. A lot of people wrote him off, and he got them here. But it just sucks that he's not here, and this time it's not due to a physical injury. It's, I'm not even sure if he's sick. It's just protocol. And it just sucks that he's out. We keep going back to it, but it just sucks. And as far as my prediction, I'm not going to jump off the ship because Kawhi Leonard is out. But I'm going to stay on the ship because I got to give credit where credit is due. And that person is Tyronn Lue. Tyronn Lue, if we're going to dispel the Pandemic P nickname for Paul George, then we no longer can talk down on Ty Lue's championship, because this guy has shown that he's clutch as a coach when it matters the most. So I'm going to stick with Lue. I'm going to stick with the Clippers. Lue can coach. Although I do like Monty Williams, Tyronn Lue can coach. And there can only be one. It just sucks that in this situation there can only be one, because I'm rooting for both of these brothers. They are black men, and of course I'm going to root for the black man. Nothing against anyone else, but it's very rare that you see 2 black coaches in a situation like this. Suns had a nice run, but I think after the Clippers beat Utah 4 times in a row, consecutive straight, I think that just gave them a boost that they needed to go on to just cap this thing off by making it out of the West. I'm not sure about them winning it all yet. We'll see who they face. I think Booker will get his, but I think I can see DeAndre Ayton really struggling in this series. I think it's a good thing that they do have Jay Crowder, because he is a guy with experience. He was on the Heat championship team. He's played with LeBron in the finals before. And I think it'll be enough to push the series to 7. And I'll give them that respect, because they earn that respect. The Suns have dominated when people didn't even think they would make the playoffs. This guy right here. But you got to give them that respect, and I do give the Phoenix Suns that respect, but I do think it's the Clippers' time to at least make it out of the West. So until then, join me as soon as the Eastern Conference final picks are in. At the time of recording, Brooklyn is currently playing Milwaukee. Atlanta plays Philly right after the Suns and Clippers in game 1. So right after that game go final, I'm going to begin the process of talking about the Eastern Conference finals, and I should have that pushed out Monday for you guys. So until then, enjoy the rest of basketball, because it's slowly dwindling down. We have the conference finals, and after that we have the NBA finals, and after that, football. Take care, guys.